On the morning of the 12th of August, thousands of apprentice boys and their supporters arrived in the city for their celebrations. A strong RUC force had been drafted into Derry in an attempt to prevent any outbreak of violence.
Well, prior to 68, 69, apprentice boys' parades went out relaxed. But because of the street violence that preceded August 69, there was a certain amount of apprehension going out, a certain amount of wondering what was going to happen. So you didn't go along just your carefree way.
That particular day, I happened to be one of the marshals on parade that day, and my marshalling area was Waterloo Place, and it was rather rough. But my job as a marshal was to keep the parade on the move, because we felt if the parade stopped at any time, then the violence would really explode.
Oh, but I belong to Derry and I know that. I know that. At the same time, these men here have to keep their backs to you and watch them, you're not helping. So an appeal to you to go way back.
But I mean, as we came very close to the edges of the Bogside, I mean, I can still see those stones being thrown from the William Street area. And I mean, it was from then on that we had a serious problem with the parade. We certainly had a situation where people were being hit with stones.
Or people then started throwing stones over the head of the police at the apprentice boys. They got offside, but then the two protagonists faced each other, the young people of the Bogside and the police. And there must have been every police that they could muster in Northern Ireland there, you know. And they hung back. To be fair to the police, I think they took the full rattle of the stones for about 2 hours before they moved.
Well, they issued a few rat guns that fired rubber bullets, but the one occasion that I saw them used, the gunners only had 10 rounds each or something, and when they were finished, that was it. And then what you did, in fact, I was ordered by superior officers to throw stones back at the rioters. You know, what's an awful thing for police to have to do.
Your object was to stop rioters encroaching on the commercial centre of the city. That was your duties. Don't let them into the centre of the cities. So you baton charged, you retreated, you baton charged, you retreated. You had to stand there and wait for them for the next charge to come from them. It was a very sad situation there that we were put into. But it wasn't the fault of the men on the ground. It was the fault of further up the command.
This is Londonderry. This is Londonderry on the day of the Apprentice Boys' March. The police are now a quarter of a mile inside the Bogside area. This here is Harvey Street. They've been moved in here after sustaining for some 2 hours a hail of stones from people on the Bogside side of the barricades.
Certainly it was the first time that I had been attacked from above. It was a very dangerous situation when you can't see anything, at least from the front. You can see it coming. But from above, you just cannot see these things coming.
It was like shooting fish in a barrel. All the young people were up on top of the high flats. The police were underneath. You just threw stones and petrol bulbs down at them.
At the same time, of course, we were being stoned heavily from the front, and the petrol bombs and missiles were coming down from the top of the Roosevelt Street flats. And then I was struck on my left shoulder by a petrol bomb, which enveloped me completely in flames. Things were somewhat a little hazy after that, but the first thing I remember was the intense pain on my shoulder and the pain in my chest. I couldn't see. No matter where I turned, was flames all around me. I couldn't see where I was going, and as I ran into the rioters, someone hit me with something very hard, possibly an iron bar, down the side of the head, which smashed my helmet and put me out of action. Then I was taken from there to Approntico Hospital, where I was treated for my injuries.
Well, the shields that we had were hopeless. They were quite small, and there was no such thing as body armour. We kept being hit in the ankles and legs by stones ricocheting off the ground and so on. And a lot of the men got cardboard that you would use in packing goods and that, and tie them around our legs like shin guards, and football shin guards, which saved us a bit.
We'd be throwing stones at the police, they would use their shields. And Bernadette stands, was up around the credit union, about 1 in the morning, and Bernadette appears with her bullhorn and says to the police, "I wish to address the rioters." They said, "Certainly." They think she's going to call for some kind of truce. And Bernadette stands in the middle ground and she turns her back to the police and she says to the rioters, "I have noticed that you all throw your stones at the heads of the police, and the police raise their shields, and you're not hitting them at all. Therefore I suggest you break into 2 groups. Half of you throw stones at their feet, at their legs, the other half simultaneously throw stones at their head. That way we'll get this over with quickly." And with that I hear a roar.
Faced with over 24 hours of large-scale violence, the RUC, ill-equipped and undermanned, were desperately overstretched. There was serious unease in Westminster.
Not only were the police tired, they weren't even given proper conditions. The simplest things like making refreshments available for them, giving them shelter and giving them rest and so on. All the things that had been done in London only a few months earlier in Grosvenor Square and the riots that took place there, which solved the situation for us.
We were too far away from our base at Victoria, you know, to be able to sort of relieve half a dozen men at a time to go back and have a bite to eat or something. So, I mean, from we went out at 9 o'clock, 9:15 or something, we left the station. We didn't have any dates at all.
I mean, at that time we had a caravan at Bunnowen, which is a seaside place about 25 miles from Derry, and we would have been there every weekend, but also for the whole period of the summer. But I do remember one night the caravan doors all being banged on, and the men of the families were asked to come to Derry, and I remember the phrase, "The police are being beaten into the ground, we need to go and support them." And what I do know is men were absent from Bunnowen for several days, fathers and big brothers and stuff.
I do recall several occasions being down behind the police lines and the attacks going on. I remember some of the police officers being absolutely tired out. So when I was there, I was seeing all of this and seeing the frustration of many of the police officers, and some of them returning stones because they had very little else to respond to the rioters. But I, as a Protestant youth, felt that I was just there to try and shore up and help the police as they came under a continuing onslaught by Republicans.